This week, The Athletic posted an article in which they talked to 20 agents within the industry of professional football, asking them who they thought were the best and the worst transfers of the season, as well as other questions in relation to the Premier League. The thing that stands out the most, though, is the worst Premier League signing. And categorically, 6 out of the 12 have voted that Benjamin Šeško's transfer to United was the worst transfer of the summer window. Now, I spoke about United's objectivity and bias against the club and the players themselves, especially, around 2 weeks ago or so. And this kind of adds to that fact because these are people within the industry that should know their stuff. And yet, they're categorically placing the transfer of Šeško as the worst signing of the summer. I don't understand that. Now, to be fair, 3 of them did vote that James Trafford was the worst signing of the summer, and he did get replaced in the same window. So I can see where they're going with that one. But there is only 1 vote for Florian Wirtz, a player who is yet to register a goal or assist in a team that's supposed to be the best team in the league. Add to that, only 1 vote for Alexander Isak. Now, Isak has had a slow start, and I expect him to pick up pace, but he is also 0 goals, 0 assists in the Premier League this season. So, what kind of metric are they giving it off? Now, having a look at what they've noted down, it's been noted that it's way too much money and way too soon for a player that is too young of an age. There's no pedigree in him. There's no quality in him. There's no guaranteedness, I guess, in his game. But so, at what point do you class a player having pedigree, having persistence? Does he have to go to a Brighton or a West Ham or an Everton and cut his teeth in the Premier League, and then he becomes usable? But then you're still going to be paying over the odds. Look at Isak. Isak went to Liverpool for over £100 million. He's the record transfer now for the Premier League because he went to what would be classed as a lesser club in Newcastle, cut his teeth in the Premier League, showed that he could do it in the Premier League, and now has seemingly moved on. So that's where I don't get it. Do United have bought in to a 22-year-old young striker who shows the ability to be able to play the Premier League game and also fit the system that Amorim wants to play, and yet he's the worst transfer of any transfers happened in the summer window, and it's not close at all. He's 6 votes for him. The next person down was 3 with James Trafford. So he's double the amount of the next person along, and everyone else only had 1 vote. Double that down with the reverse side, the best transfers. Now, the person they picked the most was Gigi Donnarumma with 5 votes. Second in that was Jack Grealish, who went to Everton on loan. Now, I would have 100% agree with the Jack Grealish one because I think Jack Grealish has done phenomenal stuff at Everton, and he is doing great things because he's now being allowed to be Jack Grealish. He's not a mindless zombie within the City ranks. The Donnarumma one is more the fact that he is kind of pushing into the middle to late 20s. Obviously, with a goalkeeper, there is that kind of more longevity, so you can expect a longer period of time for him. There were cries out from PSG fans that he had a mistake in him, and there was a lot of information that came out once the rumours kind of swirled that United were interested in him, that he was another player who had a mistake in him and that could cost United in big games. Now, I like Donnarumma. I think he's a very good goalkeeper. He's a shot stopper first and foremost, and it's exactly what I think goalkeepers should be. So I don't think he is a bad signing at all. I think he is a good signing for City. Would I class him as the best signing overall? I'm not sure. I think I would lean more towards Jack Grealish on that side of things. But it it's very interesting to see where the heads are of these agents. Couple that with the fact that the teams that have had the best window and the teams that have had the worst window, most of them put Liverpool having the best window. Now, if you look at it a couple of weeks ago, before the kind of this weird slump has kind of happened, I would say that yeah, they did have the best window. They brought in 2 fullbacks to replace 2 aging fullbacks, or one not left and one that's aging. They brought in Florian Wirtz, who is or was showing to be a quality attacking midfielder in the Bundesliga. They brought in Isak, who is a quality Premier League goal scorer. They brought in Ekatike, who started off like a house on fire. So they were looking like they were going to just retain the Premier League at a canter. Since then, though, they've had 3 losses on the bounce, 1 in the Champions League and 2 in the league. So have they actually improved, or have they actually worsened themselves with better players? Which sounds weird to say, but if you unbalance the squad, look at United under Solskjaer when they brought in Ronaldo and Sancho and Varane, it seemed to unbalance everything, and expectations went too high, I guess, for the situation, and it cost Solskjaer his job in the end. So maybe that's something that's kind of happened possibly within Liverpool's ranks. It could just be that they're just having a bit of a slump and they will get back to things. And if it happens at Anfield this weekend, I'll be very disappointed. The other side of that is that 4 votes went for United on the worst transfer window. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but we brought in Brian Mbeumo, who is showing some absolute quality. We've brought in Matheus Cunha, who's, again, showing some great qualities. I know he took an injury knock, and he's been out a couple of weeks, and he's only kind of getting just back to fitness, but he is showing promise again. And we've also brought in a striker in Šeško, who already has 2 goals this season, and started to kick on. You add that to a promising young goalkeeper in Le Mans, and it just, for me, I don't understand why you would class that as a worse window, especially when there's teams out there who have done relatively nothing and lost big players in the process. For me, the article smacks of that bias I was talking about a couple of weeks ago, where United and the United players are getting what seems to be unwarranted criticism. And you can probably see it as bias in my case and kind of defending my own club. But I just, the narratives aren't there, because they're saying that a player in Benjamin Sesko who, and again, the price is a little high for what I would say for a 22-year-old. Maybe I'm kind of a realist in wanting football to return back to the years where players didn't cost nearly £100 million per player. But I do think that the cost was a little high. But at the moment, I don't see any lull in Šeško at all. I see a better player than we had last season under Højlund. The comparisons were there initially, but I think that over the last couple of weeks in the Premier League especially, he's cracked on, kicked on, and he's showing what he can do and how he will work within this system, and it's working well. So, I don't know. It's very odd that what's being said by these agents who are within this industry, maybe they're looking after their own assets in a sense. Maybe they don't have any assets within United, or however it seemed. But for me, there's it smacks a little bit of that kind of bias I was speaking about a couple of weeks ago, and it's a shame really, because it's coming from a reputable source like The Athletic, and I know they have done it, this sort of article over the years. It's something that has been defended by them to say that it's not just a one-off, that they've done it this year, just to spite the United fan base in a sense. It is something they do put out every season. So I will give them that. It is not just been kind of put out like it would do if it was like a less reputable source or a less reputable sports journalist kind of networking situation. I just think that come the end of the season, we could be seeing a whole different thing. Now, there's a lot of factors in that. I'm not overly confident in what's going on at the moment with United. However, there are signs of positivity, and that's more of a, I can say, than what I could say last season, possibly even the season before. So we'll see how things go. I'm more optimistic, especially under Seshko, because I'm seeing a lot of the good stuff for a striker to do, and I would rather see that and him score less goals, but kind of work everyone else into the game a little bit more, and obviously everyone else gets some goals in there. Well, I like Mbermo, and Fernandez, and Cunha, and Ahmad, and whoever else, rather than he be scoring 10, 15 goals, but nobody else contributes whatsoever. So we'll see what happens with him. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments what you thought of the article. If you've seen it, if you've not, go check it out on The Athletic. It's an interesting read, I would say. Like this video if you have. Subscribe if you are new. Until next time, guys. Take care.